What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Transition Game podcast, brought to you by Athlete to Boardroom. I'm Rodney Williams. I'm the founder of Athlete to Boardroom, and we're a consulting company that helps athletes transition after sport. We do that through content, curriculum, and community. And today, we have no better content than to talk to an actual athlete that has played college, played at the professional level, and also transitioned into being an entrepreneur as well as an IT professional for the federal government. Today, our special guest is Austin Williams. Austin, welcome.
Glad to be here.
Cool, man. So obviously, you and I know each other. We were teammates at Drexel in college. We're both from Richmond. You played at Trinity High School. I played at St. Christopher. So there's a lot of friendship, brotherhood there, rivalry, competition, all the things. I appreciate you joining us today. And you have an interesting story. I mean, you are somebody who is from Richmond. You're one of many children. You managed to be able to get multiple scholarship offers, play college basketball, play at the professional ranks. I definitely want to take it back for a second and just talk about your upbringing and tell us about, where you come from. Tell us a little bit about your family and even how you got into basketball.
All right. Well, grew up in Chesterfield, Virginia. Grew up with three sisters, both my parents, and I give a lot of credit to my parents for helping me become the man I am today. Just getting me into sports, staying on me, with academics. The funny part is, I didn't start off with basketball. I didn't get into basketball until what, freshman year, eighth grade year. Before then,
Mm,
it was all football, and like
okay.
even now, like football is like my passion. Um, yeah, so yeah, started like third grade to like freshman year, it was all like football, and then we had a
Mhm.
bad year, JV year, and I remember my dad was like, "Yeah, this ain't it," and I was always like the tallest kid, so it was like, hey, "How about we just
Yeah.
jump into basketball a little bit, and take it serious," and kind of took off from there. I remember my
What
first game.
position, what position did you play in football?
Well, defensive end and a little bit tight
Okay.
end. And I remember when I got to high school, that's when I was like, I really started falling in love with it because, everybody want to be on offense. Everybody want to catch
Yeah.
touchdowns. And I
Yeah.
finally was like, they looked at me and was like, how about tight end?
hmm
But I didn't get to see it through. So,
I remember back in the day, they had like a weight limit. Like, I don't know if they had
Mhm,
it when you play, when I play football, they had like a weight limit and
mhm.
if you were over 90 pounds, you like couldn't run the
Yep,
ball. It was something
yep.
like that. They used to put this big stripe on your
Start
helmet
on
and
my
called you a
head. Yep,
striper, bro.
yep, yep.
So I'm assuming you were a striper, given that
Yep,
how tall you
yep.
were.
I remember it was I had to make 105. It was somewhere like fourth, fifth grade, something like that. And I remember like the day before, I was like, I'm gonna go run a
Run,
mile or
right?
two. Think I'm gonna lose like
Yeah.
10 pounds, 15 pounds or whatever.
I remember like they used to weigh us like in our boxers, like you would try to like strip
Yeah.
down, weigh, and like just hope you could be able to
Mhm.
make that weight limit to run the ball. So it's funny that they did that. So you naturally were the tallest person on the team. I think your family's tall too, right? Your dad and your sister's pretty tall.
Yeah, man.
Uh, did they
Mhm.
play sports?
My dad, yeah, he went to I think like a junior college, at the highest level he got to.
Okay.
My older sister Ariel, she played volleyball at Virginia State. Alexa played high school basketball. My second youngest one.
hmm
But yeah, those.
So pretty athletic family then, and
Mhm.
and you found that love for basketball after the kind of football thing didn't work out. So, I mean, how did you get started? Was it your dad that helped you get started? Was it like your friends playing? Was it a particular coach that kind of put that ball in your hand to make you want to go and play basketball?
Well, I was always kind of playing like in the neighborhood or like a little small leagues, whatever. But I was never taking it serious. And I
hmm
remember one of my friends. It was like the day before, a day of tryouts. I was about to get on the bus or something. It was like, hey man, we got tryouts today. Do you want to it's freshman year? You want to try out? And I was like, all right, man. I'm just gonna do it because my friend's gonna be there.
hmm
2, 3 days later, found out I made a team, and then for freshman team. Then that same year, it moved up to JV, and I think the same year ended up playing, or that same the following summer I ended up playing AAU with Richmond Phenom, and it
hmm
kind of took off from right there.
Okay. And so that was, what age did you say that was around when you started playing like the AAU and stuff like that?
Was that 13, 14 ish, 13, 14, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, obviously we played AU together at some point too. That might have been what, 15s or 16s or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
The AAU scene has definitely changed, that's for sure. And I know we'll get to this, but you have a training program that coaches kids, and a
Mhm.
lot of them are in that at that age. What are you seeing from this AAU scene, and like, what are some of the takeaways that you see now that are just completely different from what you experienced?
Um, all right, man. This is one of the questions you got me off guard with.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I mean, these kids, to me, so I coach high school too, right? Like
Mhm.
obviously not just the training piece, but the kids are just different nowadays.
Yeah,
I feel
definitely
like
different. Mhm.
they're entitled a little bit. I don't want to make it sound crazy, but it's just like, man, like this AAU stuff has just turned kids into superstars at fifth grade level, which we never saw before.
The first thing that come to mind is just like the no loyalty. Like kid, like I'll train one kid
Mm.
one week he with one team, another team, another week he's with another team, or
Mhm.
even more. A lot of these kids are playing even more teams now compared to what we did. I feel like we played one
Mhm.
AAU team, or even when they're playing high school ball, they're playing another directly at the same time, or they're on the
Mhm.
AAU team at the same time. Like we didn't play multiple teams at the same time.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
the biggest thing I noticed. Three teams at a
We
time.
Yeah, I think that's obviously where the game is going a little bit. You look into college and you look at the transfer portal and all the things that the people are doing now with
Mhm.
just shifting around by whatever, brings the demand for them to switch, but they don't stick out.
Right.
I remember when I wanted to leave, we played Squires together. I wanted to leave Squires and go to Boo Williams. And my dad was like, nah, like we ain't going nowhere. Like Tony Squire like gave you a chance. Like we playing Squire. I don't care if you're not playing or this or that, the third. That kind of old mentorship is gone now. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
I had the same story with my dad. Team Loaded was calling me. He was like, "Man,
Hmm.
I can make you just like Serge Ibaka. Come over here, man." My dad was like, "What? No, Tony Squire. What he ever do wrong to you?"
Yeah, yeah,
I ain't have
right.
an answer. Like, gotta stay, but it all worked out.
So it definitely worked out. So you went to Trinity High School. Well, you first went to Manchester. You transferred. Basketball got serious for you, so you then went to Trinity. Like, how was your experience at Trinity?
It was definitely a cultural shock, but
Mhm.
it benefited me in the long run in terms of academically and coaching. I feel like I had a little more freedom, offense
Mhm.
and defense. I felt a little more of a leader on the floor compared to where I was coming from. I was still growing as a player and as an individual, but
Mhm.
the biggest thing was a culture shock. Just being a private school and predominantly white school.
Yeah,
Um, but I
yeah.
learned a lot. Learned how to you know network, talk to those people. I don't want it. I don't want
Yeah,
it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a difference, right? So, I mean, I went to St. Christopher School, which coming from Thomas Dale, which kind of a predominantly black school,
Mhm.
reclassified, went across the bridge and went to predominantly white school, which is different. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just the world we live in, but there is that adjustment period and that sense of transition that you realize as an athlete, there's just a bunch of ways that you have to transition, but because of the sport you play, you
Mhm.
end up figuring out how to navigate those parts of life. And so, you're now at Trinity, you're playing well, we're playing AAU Squires, we're going down to Florida, we're winning games and things like that. And now you start to get, college is calling, college is texting. See, back in the day, like you had to wait like to a certain like period where a coach could actually send you a text message. I know now, I feel like there's just a lot going on and people talking to anybody, but do you remember like that first coach that hit you up or called your phone or that first letter you got?
Yeah, I believe first letter. Can't recall. I remember the biggest was I think it might have been like my Minnesota first letter. Um,
Hmm.
but my first offer.
Tubby Smith, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then Mount St. Mary's was like the first offer for me. Uh,
Okay.
I remember that they wanted me bad. Um, and after that, yeah, it kind of just took off, whatever. But
Yeah, tell us about that recruitment process. What were some of the schools that you really were considering? Tell us about some of the visits and things like that.
so I think I took two. Went to Gardner Webb, went to Drexel, and I went to JMU. And I
Hmm.
really wanted to go to JMU. Uh,
Yeah.
I think something happened. I either played bad, open. No, something happened where the coach left.
Oh, Matt Brady, you got
Yeah,
fired?
yeah, so yeah, yeah. I think he left, and then there was like,
Lou,
we don't
because
know.
then they had Lou Rowe. Lou Rowe was at the school.
Yo, and I remember I was hurt. I was like, man, damn, he was only 2 hours away. Where
Yeah.
I was trying to stay in. I was trying to stay in the state. But then I was like, I always had Garner Well, and like Garner was probably the best school who was recruiting me.
Hmm.
They showed the love. They was always at the games. It just felt like if I had to pick a school and not worry about the size or the roster or whatever, I think that was the school. Like, all right, I feel like they really want me here. Um,
Okay. Okay.
and then the probably I don't know if you even know this story. I tried to commit to Drexel that fall. I remember it was like right before the official game, or like that first week or two. Of my
Before the Trinity game?
yes, my junior year,
Okay.
something like that, junior year, whatever it was. And then I took a visit to something happened and it didn't work out. I remember I was in the Walmart parking lot and I called Bobby Jordan. I was like, "Hey,
Uh-huh.
I'm coming, I'm coming." He was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." And I was like, I think I just tried to commit because they asked me what I wanted to visit. That's what it was. I wanted to visit. They was asking me, and I didn't really have an
Okay.
answer. And I think it might have been some period went by, like maybe even like a couple weeks later or whatever. And I think they might have found somebody else or something happened. But
Hmm.
it all ended up working out. I think Lane ended up leaving, and the offer opened back up. And I think in the spring I committed.
Okay. Okay.
That's how I ended up going there.
Because we were overloaded on bigs like during your trip. So you had your visit to Drexel, and I was your guide.
Yeah.
Now, my bad, bro. I know I took you to Dave and Buster's, and I should have took you to the club or something, man. But we still ended up getting you there. So I mean, obviously, I was a part of your first visit, but like, what was that college visit like? Like, tell the viewers, the high school kids that may be trying to get recruited, like what the visits are like. Dinners, the tour, and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about it.
The biggest thing that stands out was it was Philly, so everything was just big.
Yeah.
We were coming from Chesterfield and Richmond, and just being a sports town, like we didn't have that, or we don't have that now.
Uh,
So that was the biggest thing. And then cheese steaks. I remember when I first got there, like the first thing, gotta get a cheese steak, gotta get a cheese steak. You should go here,
mm,
here. Um, yeah, what else we do? We went to David Buster. It was
my
cool. I
bad,
mean,
man. My
I didn't, I
bad,
didn't,
man.
I didn't know at the time, so I'm
I
um
didn't know either. I was still fresh. I was,
yeah.
I'm a pastor's kid. I was trying to figure it out too.
So I'm just thinking like, all right, this is what college is about. We're going to David Buster.
Right. Then we figure out college is not about Dave and Buster's. It is about being out and about, man. But I was glad that you were still able to commit. I did think that at the time, at least we had just came off a pretty good season. We had beat Alabama at Madison Square Garden. We lost by 4 to Arizona. And we had a lot of good seniors, so it was exciting that you coming along. And so now you're here. Now you're at Drexel. Now you have to go through like a whole new transition from high school to college level sports. So tell us about, we always ask people this question, but tell us about like who was the first player you played against in like college that made you realize like, oh, this is going to be a transition.
Mhm.
You played against a lot of good players during your time.
Mm, that's a good one.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think my freshman year. I didn't really play that much, so
Hmm.
it's kind of a blur due to injuries and
Hmm.
low minutes. Um, so it's kind of hard to say. It's like my freshman year, sophomore year, I didn't play, so I never really had that moment. I went to get somebody and was like, "Man, he's different." But
Yeah.
I did have that moment in practices and pick up
Okay.
open.
Yeah.
So go against Kaz in the summer, or actually Robert Battle, come back in the summer. When he used to jump in the shell drills, it was like, all right,
Oh,
we
people,
not playing against juniors and seniors no more. This is grown men.
people, and for the viewers, y'all don't know who Rob Battle is. You may, if you're from Philly, you may. But Robert Battle he's probably what, an 18-year pro,
Mm,
played a lot overseas, France, South America, G League. I think, he had a stint there, won championships. He's about 6'8", 6'9", 270. And he played at Drexel in the 2001, I believe, and he would come back and just like throw us around, like
uh,
pause. Like that sounds crazy, but like he would literally like try to get the rebound, and just throw us out the way,
you
moving furniture. Like
know, if you had to
now
get
just say that I have flashbacks.
the only way to get out the drill was to get three stops in a row. And
Yes.
on that on the third one. Offensive rebound, go back up.
Yeah, ended up. It's that man. Brew used to be like, "Y'all scared? Battle can smell you. He can smell fear. Look at y'all scared. People weren't scared, but it was painful, bro. Like, you ever had a coach tell you, "Hey, 3 rebounds, get out, no out of bounds, no fouls."
Yep,
That's
yep,
the type of basketball we was playing, man.
yep. And he used to
Play.
play. It was like Carmelo. Now I promise you, he had the elbows. Like he
Oh
knew
my
how to control
gosh,
the game. So
that's
that was
crazy.
my.
We'll get back to battle because you guys had a stint overseas too, which is crazy to say since you guys were so far apart. But you kind of mentioned like your earlier freshman years, you dealt with some injuries. We saw you kind of progress throughout your career and gain more minutes over time, and there was even coaching changes and stuff like that that may have changed your view on the game. But how was your experience at Drexel overall? Kind of walk us through your career and kind of help us understand the growth pattern that you went through.
Well, when I always think about Drake, I always think about like the word you just said, growth. Um,
Yeah,
no matter like all the years I think about like growing up, whether it was being a kid, middle school, high school, like those 4 years at Drexel was like the those were the years I grew significantly. Just as a player, um, as a student, as a as an individual. Period. First 2 years I wasn't playing that much. It was like almost it was a low place in my life where I was just like, I don't do I want to leave? Do I even
yeah.
do I trust in myself? Like, do I even? I had no confidence in my game. Like it was
Hmm.
bad. But then Drexel ended up coming. Sorry, Sparker ended up coming in there. He kind of like
Hmm.
just restarted it. Just gave him the confidence. We especially on the offense side, who was working out. I remember me and him was spent hours in the This is the head coach. A lot of head coach usually don't spend that much time. With player development.
Hmm.
He was in the rec doing, drills, working like offensive stuff. He was like, "Hey, a few months from now, you're gonna be doing this." And next 2 years, you could tell like it paid off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, how do you get through something like that where, and honestly, this is something that happens to a lot of people at certain times in your college career and when you're going through transition. And back when you played, like there wasn't just a transfer portal where you could just leave and if you didn't like a situation. So you had to sit through there and kind of work through that. And so you went through that star in Richmond at Trinity, all prep league, all this, all that, to then getting to college and having to wait your turn, quote unquote, or figure out the way you're going to move forward. What were some of the things that you did to deal with that transition period to stay positive and to get to the other side?
And just surround myself with one trusting God, but also surround myself with people who cared and support me and then, reminded me like, hey, like you put the work in here, it's gonna pay off. Don't just jump ship like a lot of kids nowadays are doing. Just
Yeah.
I'm playing less than 20 minutes. I'm going to a different school. Uh,
Yeah.
But then I remember I used to talk to my man Will Spencer. He used to always
Hmm.
be on the phone with him. He's like, "Hey man, like, just gotta waste your time. Be patient, be patient."
Yeah.
Even guys like you, my man Sammy, Damian Lee, like,
Hmm.
always just like, hey, just even we're losing right now, they're still thinking about me as a person. Like, hey, like, just waste your time. Just stay yourself, just keep yourself in the gym, keep your body right. All it takes is one person, to get hurt or whatever, and the opportunity opens up for you.
Yeah, it's really crazy how it does take that one person or that one kind of influence to help you get through tough times. And I tell people this, when we're working with them through Athlete to Boardroom, it's really about the circle that you have when you're in a transitionary period because it can go one way or the other for you. And if you're not able to really hone in and kind of lock in and kind of help push yourself through that, it really does become a difficult thing when you're dunking in front of thousands and then you got to go to sit in front of a marketing interview to hopefully you get it and there's a bunch of other people going for it. I mean, there's this point where you have to really battle through those things. I remember Franz. So Franz Massenet was my point guard my freshman year, and all of us Drexel guys are close to Franz, but I remember Brew was letting me have it, man. Like I mean, I thought my name was a curse word for like the first like month. And like, I mean, every word in the book, man. And he would just tell me like, he one day we were going through a game, he just kind of picked my chin up. He was like, yo, just like head up, bro. Like you gotta like take what he says and be able to process that because he's saying it because he cares. and that little moment like helped me get through some of those hard, times within coaching. And I know for you, being around folks like Dame and Sammy and others, and Coach Will, helped push you through that now next level to now, you get to junior, senior year and you're clicking and you're moving and you're, climbing up the leaderboard and blocks and you're, going for the defensive player of the years and stuff like that. So tell us about that final year at Drexel, what that, kind of crescendo like felt like, and then take us into now we're thinking about professional and what that felt like.
So that senior year is, in my opinion, I feel like the best team. Let me think. Let me make sure. Probably the best team I played on
Hmm.
in terms of like pure talent. Uh,
Yeah.
we had a good solid roster, especially with the guards. Um,
Yeah. Tremaine and T Harp and
Heard,
Miles, Kurt. Wow. A lot
yep,
of, lot of firepower.
yep. So I was already going in that year like, hey, this is the year. Like previous 3 years, especially the first 2 years, when he was barely winning any games. I was like, hey, I'm
Hmm.
going out with a bang. So I had a lot of confidence in with the team. And then Spiker was getting his groove on. I think that was his second year. So that was, that was on my mind. So I was like, man, I was running. I was probably doing like 10 miles a week, man. I was, especially on Sunday. It was like,
I
so we
remember
go back
that.
probably 4 or 5 times a week already. And then on Sundays, I'm running from Drexel all the way down to what was it, Benjamin Franklin Bridge? Middle school.
The Spruce Street Harbor, like down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, down, yup. So
Hmm.
down there and back was like 6, 7 miles at least. Um, so that was like my like, hey, like we're gonna do this, man. I'm gonna be in shape. I'm gonna have my
Yeah.
motor ready. Um, so other than that, what was the question again? I'm
Just no, just like, you start clicking during that year. And so like,
no, yeah.
what are some of your best memories about, that part of your career as you get ready to transition into professional ranks?
Okay, so yeah, so well, that was a bad part piece. So off the court stuff, I just remember like you used to come back and be like, "Hey, man, it's last year. Like, enjoy it."
Yeah.
No, you don't want to do nothing crazy or whatever, but like, hey, it's the last year of me in college. Like, have fun. Some of
Hmm.
these people you're not gonna see again. So like, um, just enjoy your last few months here or whatever. So I really, took advantage of that. Like, had some great friendships, great relationships. I met with people. Um, and I had a blast my senior year.
Yeah, yeah. If you're a college senior and you're listening to this pod, like, please, ma'am, sir, enjoy it because it goes by fast. You look back and, prayerfully you're able to touch the professional ranks. But if you're not, you're going to miss the locker room. You're going to miss being around, all the people and having the freedom and not the pressures of this normal life. And so enjoy it for sure. And so, I saw you do that. I saw you kind of becoming to coming to yourself, as a man, as a basketball player. And now, you faced with options. I mean, you blocking shots, you're starting to make a name for yourself. And you probably start getting some inboxes from agents and, different teams and stuff like that. And so, what was that process like? How did you approach it? And, what was the thinking around choosing a professional team, choosing an agent, and landing somewhere?
So I'm gonna go all the way back to how I was thinking then. I remember I had one agent. So I'm this like you said, I'm playing well. I'm probably top 5 at the time in blocks in the nation. And agents are reaching out, whatever. I remember there's one guy, he was on me from like junior year. And he seemed like a great guy, whatever. So it kind of goes back to like when I said Garner Webb was like reaching out. Is like you could tell when someone really wants you, they're genuine and like they care about you.
Yeah.
And I remember I was about to go with him, and then this other guy came in. He was like, "Hey man, I can get you your rookie deal. I can get you over 100,000." I said, "Boom, sign it."
100,000? Jeez.
So I ended up going with him. I ended up changing. It didn't work out, obviously. Um, I ended up changing him back to the other guy, and that's when kind of career started getting a little stable and started going back up again. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, those ages, man. Like,
mm,
first of all, they all lie to you. So I'm
yeah,
telling
right.
you right now, like these agents will lie. Like you're a basketball player thinking about going overseas, like you're not in, they will lie to you. So it's important that you kind of lean into some of the old heads you might know. lean into folks that have been over there to give you game because they will tell you every little thing. They'll tell you that you're going to make 100K or all this other stuff, and then you get to the salaries and you're like, what? I remember somebody told me, yeah, 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 first salary, like I get you, I get you 7 to 10,000 a month, like easy. Like, oh, okay. And it was like untaxed. And then when I got to my first contract and I started getting these offers, 3,000, this, that, the third. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And they're like, hey, like they had no answer for me. They just lied. And so it's really important to like take care of yourself in that process because, when you're dealing with these teams, you're no longer I guess the quote unquote star prize, right? Because when you're in college and you're in your team, it's about you. They need you. But when you're going for these contracts, you're just a number of hopefully somebody can come and score a bunch of points. And so you now get your first deal. Where was your first deal at?
Norway.
Norway. So you land in Norway. I mean, what the heck are you thinking when you land in Norway? I mean, that's not the typical place you would think about starting your career. So what did that feel like?
Yeah, so before I even got on the flight, I was already thinking like, man, I'm about to go over here. I'm quote unquote still a pro, I guess. But I know it's a lower league. And I was like, let me just go over here and kill and do what I gotta do. But I remember the first thought when I got off that plane, the air and the quality of life seemed different from the States.
Mm,
And that's one thing I did appreciate while over there. Like I didn't like, turn my nose up to them people over there. Like I really
yeah,
if I can go back now and somehow have like a a minimum contact contract, I'll go play with
yeah.
them just because like I love the people out there. Like I had a great time. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I played in, Germany, France, Argentina. Like if I had to pick one team, one city, one town, whatever, go back, it would be Norway. Just because
Wow.
that's where it all started at, and that's what the people treated me pretty well. So
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, right? Because you think about, what they tell you to do in this overseas basketball, especially if you're coming from a mid-major. They want you to start, at a league, just get your start, get your numbers, get your stats. So that can land you anywhere, in a lower league or other countries you didn't think you were going to land in. And once you do well, you start to do the things that you did, right? You hit France and you hit, you know, um, Slovakia or you hit Austria, like all these other countries you played in and you want to go back to where it started, which is funny. You wouldn't think about that. And so, what was one of the best stories that you can kind of remember when it comes to the Norway situation that made it so great?
hmm. Like I said, I gotta keep talking about like the quality of life, like the fact that like the cops would walk around, they had no guns on them,
Ah,
and it just felt super, super safe, and the way where my town was in Bergen,
hmm,
it's right off the coast, and the lights was just like to light up the whole mountain. It was just beautiful. I remember,
wow,
New Year's Eve, they did the fireworks, and you just saw like the whole mountain light up. It was crazy, and then, they also got the Northern Lights, and um,
yeah.
it was just beautiful, honestly. That was probably like the most like I said, safe and just beautiful town I was in.
I love that. I love that. That's such a great experience to be able to have a basketball, to take you around the world, and you started there, but you did well, you played well, and so the next country, rattle off the next couple countries, and then just kind of help us get towards like what were the best kind of stops out of those countries, best teams, best competition.
Okay, so yeah, I started over in Norway. Remember I actually came back home. I did feel bad from doing it to him because I remember before we left, it was like, hey, Um, we're trying to make we was like top 3 in the conference. Like, we're gonna make a hard push at the end of the season. We're gonna try to go for a championship. Like, we're gonna send you home. We're gonna allow you to go home. You gonna come back? I said, yeah, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. Yeah. Yeah, I did come back, but it was like a day or two later. France, I think your agent hit me up and it was like, "Hey, we want you
That's
out."
right.
Yeah, and I was like, money was talking.
Yeah, France pays a little better.
Yeah, and I was hurting because my boy Jay was over there in Norway with me, and I was like, we really could have won that championship, and I really wanted to make that work, but
I totally forgot about that. I
yeah,
forgot that it was like a call from the agent, like
yeah,
Amadou,
yeah, yep.
and wow. So yeah, I mean, he hit you up. So is that my fault?
I have no good place in my pro career, so it all worked out as opposed.
Right, right. So okay, so you get that call, right? Sometimes that happens. the wire hit, right? More
Uh,
money in France, and you're at the south of France too. Like you're not in a bad place in France and Tarbes. And so, what was that like experience like to go from Norway to France, where there's a little more higher level basketball and it's looked at as a great country to play?
so I love Norway, don't get me wrong, but I finally felt like a pro, even though it was third league in France.
Hmm.
You finally it was we had like the buses, um, what else we had? We was flying, we had my own car,
Hmm.
I had my own apartment. So in Norway, I was sharing a apartment with 4 or 5 other guys, one kitchen, like 2 bathrooms. It was crazy. But like I said, first time I felt like a pro there. So that's when kind of started like, all right, this is what being a pro is like. Um
Yeah.
but other than that, I mean, I enjoy France. Like Paris was like an hour flight away.
Yeah. We had a
Barcelona.
good trip, man.
Yeah, yep. Hmm.
So I went down. I was playing in France at the same time, and Stretch and I actually was able to play each other in the same league, which is you don't even see that happen a lot. Uh, but they do these things like FIBA breaks, and so Stretch was in the south of France, living a good life. I was somewhere in like central, but was able to go down there, and then we took the car, drove to what? Did we go to Paris? We went to Barcelona. I mean, it was having a great time, man. You had great teammates. I'll never forget
Go ahead and
that
tell him,
trip.
Rock. Go ahead and tell him, Rock.
Oh
You sure
yeah,
you
yeah, I'll tell you. Look,
go.
I ain't want to say it, but Stretch, I'm lucky I'm here today, okay? Because Stretch almost took me out driving in Barcelona. In Europe, they have, regular lanes, your cars going back and forth, but they have like a lot of mopeds and bikes and stuff like that, motorcycles. So they had a separate lane on the right-hand side of the normal lane for them to drive. This guy Stretch. We in Barcelona, so we living. He cuts on a cheap Keith and he's bobbing his head and he's driving. And I have a lot, I'm in there too. Hey. And all of a sudden he just turns the right turn and there's a moped like coming straight for us on the turn. They slam on brakes. Thank God I can still walk today. We end up getting pulled over by the police, and they're like, speaking Spanish, and we're like, we play for the team, we play for the team, and then all this other stuff. Long story short, we ended up getting away, and I walked away, thank God.
Crazy.
But it's just part of those crazy experiences. They're like, "Do you have an international driver's license?" No, I'm with the team. The team gave me this car. I'm just doing whatever. Man, I just never forget those moments, man, where you're able to just travel and to have those breaks and to meet teammates, and it's always great. And so
Shout out to
you can,
Harvey, Willis, Josh, man. Those my guys, man. We don't talk no more. Y'all still my guys, man.
yeah, we gotta get them, especially Harvey, man. We gotta lock
Yep.
in with him, man. And so yeah, that France team, you end up playing really well. And there's a couple more stops out of that. So kind of just take us through that journey, and then we'll start getting into just your transition where you are now.
So after France, went to Slovakia. That was another place where I was just like, man, I don't know if this is worth it. I walked to my dorm room or apartment, whatever it was. It was literally a room, and I'm gonna keep the story short. But I was like, call my agent, like, what is this? Like, a couple weeks, few, it was like a month later, whatever. They put me in a better spot, whatever. So finish up that Slovakia. I think they messed up my visa papers. So I had to get out of there. Went to Austria, the country over. I really enjoyed that place too. Another place where I have my own car and probably the best apartment I had at all the places I stayed at.
Hmm.
Was also on a winning team. I think we were top two, if not top three. Coach is cool, players is cool. I really love that, and just being in that part of Europe, like you're kind of in the middle of everything. So if you want to take a flight somewhere,
Yeah.
country over or whatever, your girl come in town, whatever, you just want to go travel, sightsee, or whatever. It's so easy to move
Hmm.
around over there. Um, and then I got hurt. Plus, so I was hurt for about a month. I was about to get back on the court, and then COVID hit.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I remember our last practice, we was playing soccer. We didn't know if it was like really over or not. And then the next day, they was like, "Yeah, we got to send y'all home." Like, Italy had like 2, 3 cases and it was breaking out. And it was like, "Hey, we got to get y'all
Yep.
out here. Send us home." And the story in COVID down for like a year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of COVID in itself is just a big transition point for a lot of people, mostly everybody, right? We all had to transition, whether it was for us, the leagues canceled and we had to come home and didn't know how things were going to go. For other folks, they had to go from working in the office to working from home, to some people not working at all, to being scared to touch a grocery cart at the store. I mean, it was a crazy time when you really think about it. And so, like, you come home, was that like the point of transition where you started to think about maybe I need to figure something else out? I mean, this basketball thing, I guess, can be fragile. You don't have to get hurt. It can be a pandemic that takes you out. When did you start to think about transitioning or think about like retirement or things like that?
Mm, I was kind of already having conversations with my brother-in-law, Cody.
Hmm.
He's pretty advanced in the IT world, cybersecurity. And we was having conversations about that before COVID, but my IT, me pursuing IT, an IT career didn't really start happening until Germany, which was after Argentina, last year.
So, so
Yeah,
you pandemic happened, you came home,
yeah.
you then went back overseas and played in Germany and then went to uh South America. Is that correct?
No, Argentina, then Germany. So
Okay,
I
so you went okay,
so I
so
was
you
already
went
having I was having conversations while I was in Austria. COVID happened. I was, doing little jobs around here. I was doing
Mhm.
FedEx. I was a substitute teacher. Um, I think that's right. And then I went to Argentina that fall. I was like, this at the same time thinking like I don't know how much longer I'm gonna play. When I first went overseas to go play, I was thinking like, I'm gonna at least play until I'm 30 till the
Yeah,
wheels fall off, whatever.
wheels fall off.
But you know how it is when you have a girl, you don't want to
Hmm.
go back and forth in the long distance, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, on my mind, and I don't want to keep dragging her through that. So I'm in Argentina. Play with my boy, Rob Battle.
Yep.
Um, that was interesting. Just being in the like bubble, whatever they called it down there.
Right.
We used to play in the city, but we used to sometimes 2, 3 times we went back to the town. It was like 15-hour bus drives back to the town. It was just nothing like
Yikes.
dirt roads, chickens. Like
Oh man.
it was like basically poverty, but it was
Okay.
humble. It was real humble living. Like it was also some good people too down over there too.
Yeah.
Put everything in perspective, like what you have, just be grateful that
So the pandemic happened, you came home, you started to do just kind of like you said, odd jobs here, like maybe some delivery stuff or substitute teaching. But that whole time you were in the mindset, I'm going back. So you were working out, trying to stay fresh. You end up going back, and then you started also having conversations with Cody about IT. So, in the midst of doing those odd jobs and just make sure you have money, to then still working out, to then starting to have these conversations about IT, was there a point where you were seriously prepping for an IT career, or was that just like, oh, that could be cool, like just thinking about it?
Mm, well, I knew basketball was going to eventually run out, and I knew whenever it did, whether it was in couple months or 5 years, I knew I wanted to get in IT. So me talking with Cody, he kept the topics fresh, like what I should be looking for, what materials I should be studying,
Okay.
certifications I should start looking at. So that kind of like it was like in the back of my mind, like all right, when I have some downtime, I'm just sitting in the apartment, pick up a book, just be, keep everything fresh in my mind, just study
Yeah.
whatever.
I love that. I love that. So basically, you start thinking about transition at a big point of transition for you. You started to do things that would aid that. So you didn't completely give up on your dreams and stuff, but you started to just put some small deposits in so that when that time does come, you're at least, ready to come up at bat. And so, you retire, you finish, you say, "Hey, I'm done." Like, what was the ultimate kind of feeling when you decided, like, "I'm finished"?
Um, in Germany. Before I get ahead of myself, Argentina, I was like probably like 70-30. Like I want to play, but I'm like, I know I still got in the tank. I know I still got something in the tank, but the long distance and we purchased a house um while I was in Argentina. So it
Mm,
didn't make sense, if I played another 5 years, we had a house here. I didn't want to, whatever. Um So that started like that's like started it. And then I finished Argentina, uh, went over late the following year to Germany, and I remember, thinking like, "Alright, if it works out, I'm gonna play another couple years. If it doesn't, then this is it." And I remember, the coach who brought me over there, he got fired, like, after, like, probably, like, 3, 4 weeks, something like that. And another guy who was assistant coach, he stepped up. I remember he was making all these promises like, "Hey, you're gonna be playing this, and that." Uh, long story short, the game started, our team was blowing them out, and I probably got in, like, the last minute, and I was like, "Yeah, this ain't it." And I was like, "Alright."
Yeah.
It was one of those trips where we played on Saturday and then on Sunday. So it happened on that Saturday, and I remember the Sunday, I was like, "You know what? Maybe it was me." Imma, talk to him. He's like, "Hey, it was harder to get the rotation, blah, blah. This is a bigger game I was trying to save you for. This is the game I really want you." Played 0 minutes that game. I came back
Mhm.
home. Bree, my wife, was in the apartment, and I was like, "Hey, pack your bags. We out here." And that was like, I'm done playing ball, and then I kinda like
Yeah.
that kinda ended. I guess I officially retired.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, did you feel like any sadness, or it was a lot of frustration, obviously, because you were, at the point where you were just like, I'm not playing the way I want to play. But was there like any sadness or like things like that? Do you feel any regret about like retiring, or at least at that moment?
Nah, because like I said, it didn't really like I know some athletes, some players go through like the whole like, "Oh man, like I wish it didn't have to end," or sad or whatever. I wasn't really sad. I was more like, I'm ready to turn the page. What's next? That was my whole
Yeah.
mindset. I don't know what it was. So was I scared? Yeah. But I wasn't necessarily like, man, I wish basketball can keep going or whatever. Um and then I probably get ahead of myself, but the following year, that's when I started my training business. And me doing that kind of fulfilled any kind of void I had
Yeah.
not playing.
So talk about that. I mean, you go from transitioning as an athlete, retiring, to then jumping into entrepreneurship, which is something that's also not easy. But it involved basketball, so I'm sure that that brought the love for it there. Talk about your training business. Tell us about it. Tell us the name, kind of how it got started, and then where it is now.
All right. So, like I said, I got my own training business. Sorry, stretcher game. So I work with all ages. Anybody who's just looking to improve on the court. Also, as an individual off the court. And that's why I really like love doing. Like when the kids come in there or the players come in there and they come in, low confidence or like they're missing this whatever it is, and then they can like as the weeks go on, the months go on, and they're just a different person. And they come back to me, they're like, "Thank you." The parents come into me and just get so much like, gratitude back to them. It's like that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Even when I'm in, gym 4 or 5 times, I'm like, man, I need to be back home, breeze on me. But it's actually a blessing, man. Like I said, it did fulfill a void that I might have been missing because I didn't play ball for a good 3 years. I just recently got back into the men's league stuff.
Hmm.
I wasn't like itching to get back into it because I was already in the gym 4 or 5 times a week working with other people, other players,
Yeah.
getting them better.
Yeah. So now you start this game. I know it's called Stretcher Game. So you located in Richmond. You're seeing kids, I guess, at all ages. Um, you do that, but then you also have been like getting this IT bug for the last couple years. You've been staying up. You've been reading materials. Tell us about what it is that you do now, your job now with IT, and then also just kind of help the folks understand how they can get into it if there's something they're interested in.
Okay, so now I'm in currently what I do now, I work for the DoD down at Fort Gregg Adams, cybersecurity specialist. So I do a lot of in short, um I assess other companies who have federal contracts with the government and make sure their
Okay.
environment and certain controls are in place. Or if you're saying you're doing this, I want to make sure you're doing it, or show me or whatever. So that's pretty much what I'm doing in short. Um the way I got into it, I'm forgetting the year. I think it was after Germany. Like I said, I was doing all these small little jobs, whatever. But when I was doing those small jobs, I was studying for my security plus. And once I
Security
got
Plus. Okay.
yeah, once I got that, it kinda, like, took off. I even got a AV engineering job, I remember that I was being interviewed for that, and if you know, AV stands for audio visual. So I'm that job was hanging TVs and like sound and everything. So it's IT related, but it's not necessarily cybersecurity, which I was trying to go for. But the
Hmm.
boss big on like security and stuff like that. So I wasn't actually practicing what I just learned in the
Yeah.
certification, but it helped open the door. So I was there for a couple years, and while I was there, another opportunity came open for my current job. So that's how I got into it, and now it's
So
just
the Security Plus, I think you said it was called, like the certification.
mhm.
Like what? How do you get that? Like, what is it actually? Like, is there a test that somebody has to take, and then does it cost to take that test? And like, what is that whole process like? Because there may be somebody listening that's like, oh, I didn't know about that, and maybe interested in getting into it.
So certification is just basically a representation of what you know or what you've been exposed to. So can't remember how much I paid for it. The test probably was about $400, something like that.
Hmm.
I was blessed to be able to pass on the first attempt. It's not an easy exam, but there's definitely harder exams.
How many
Um,
questions?
it might have been like 75. First number could have made 75.
Okay, okay.
Um, but I also passed earlier this year. I passed my AWS practitioner,
Hmm.
which is more about the cloud stuff. So, which is also where we're going. That and AI um,
Yeah, yeah.
based stuff. So those are certifications I would if I was getting into it. AI and cloud based certifications. Whether it's Azure, AWS, Google,
Yeah. And
and
then this is something like somebody who maybe even be still playing, but starting to think about like,
mhm,
retirement
definitely,
at some point. They can start to just read books on
definitely.
this stuff, right? To be able to get themselves in position. And that's something they can start without even having to take the test right now. It's about preparation. Yeah.
Definitely. So the test or me passing the test all came down to just one book I got off Amazon. It was about $40. But that
Mhm.
$40, it was one of the biggest investments I had to help me in my career, honestly.
Yeah. That $40 turned into a salary, yeah. Right. And so yeah, I mean that's it's definitely something, as listeners you guys can think about when you're thinking about IT certifications, like wanting to make that change. If you're an athlete that doesn't know exactly the move you want to make, I mean, here's a great option to possibly get into, IT where this world is headed, and you can start to do that just by giving yourself more information. And obviously you can connect to Austin, at some point he can help you guys. But it's great to know that. And so like you have this whole realm of like entrepreneurship. Now you have the IT stuff that's moving. You know, family, wife. It seems like that you were able to make that transition, whether it may look smooth and maybe for you it felt like rough at some times.
Mhm.
What would you tell the person who's thinking about, transition, they're dreading it, they're a little nervous? What was something that you say to them to get them ready and to encourage them about this moment that they about maybe about to take?
Well, one, keep God first, because you're gonna have your ups and downs. But you don't wanna, get out of character or get too far off just because, things are getting tough. And that's one thing I love about sports because it really is a representation of life. When
Hmm.
adversity hits, how you gonna react? So that's the number one tip, and then two would be networking. Surround yourself with people
Hmm.
um who do know more than you, especially about a certain field or industry. Um, that or look for the knowledge online. Like our iPhones or phones or whatever you have is so
Yeah.
powerful. Like just go and research and find the resource you need to go further.
Yeah. When you think about being an athlete, do you feel like, being an athlete helped you through this process, kind of taught you lessons to, how you're working now? Like tell us a little bit about that.
Definitely being an athlete helped me to where I am now, just because the confidence. Like you probably remember that first day I went to Drexel, man. I had no confidence, man. I was probably walking down with my head down and shoulders
Yeah.
slung.
Yeah.
But that's how it is when you go into the real world now. Like 9 to 5 job. Like if you don't at least act like you know what you're talking about, they're gonna find out and then they're gonna let you know. They're gonna let you know. Like they're
Mhm.
gonna call you out on it or whatever. So whatever you do, do it with confidence and Just put the best foot forward.
Exactly. It's like honestly, and this is not just basketball, it's any sport. But if you can play in an arena, on a field, like on a court and all these other things with the pressure of the moment, to be able to perform and you're able to score that basket or make that goal, there's no reason why you can't, get into that boardroom and present that, that those slide deck or that pitch deck or things to get done in business. There's no reason why you can't do that because you've done it on the highest levels. And so now it's just about taking that same, instinct and things that you have and applying it to the business field, which we see great examples like yourself and others have been able to do it. And so that should be encouragement to anybody who's viewing today that, you're not just an athlete, you're not just, made up of your sport, but you actually have innate skills that could help you be successful in this world. And that's what this podcast is trying to spread. So I appreciate you telling your story today. We got a couple rapid fire questions to keep it fun, and then we're gonna head out. So just give you a quick answer, and then no pressure, no pressure. Who is the greatest athlete of all time?
LeBron.
Love that. Okay. What's the worst conditioning drill you've ever done?
2020s.
Whoo, tell people what that is real quick.
So yeah, 20 suicides in 20 minutes. So we've yeah, so yeah, so the clock is running. You wanna and then back then when we was doing it in college, it was big. So we had what, 35, 32 seconds.
30, 32,
Yeah,
32.
yeah. We gotta get in there and then the rest of the time, rest of that minute is rest. So yeah, that used to be once you get to that 8, 9, 10 suicide, lungs start cramping up.
Right.
But it gets you in shape though. We'll say that.
If you can have dinner with anybody in the world, and I would say dead or alive, right? If you can have dinner with any one person, who would you have dinner with?
Dead or alive? Dead? Probably my cousin, Matthew. I remember you
Okay.
probably familiar with he passed away in
Mm-hmm.
college.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
my brother. Um,
Gotcha.
I'm gonna give you two answers. Alive,
Okay.
that's a cut off one. Maybe Denzel Washington.
Okay. Okay, Denzel. Last one. If you weren't a hooper, what sport do you think that you would play instead?
Football, easily.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I understand that since that was the first love. What position exactly?
Probably tight end. Like, um, I don't know him personally, but like Molly Cox, like I admire his transition
Yeah,
and
Big Mo. Big
yeah.
Mo. Yeah. I saw something yesterday. They scored a touchdown
Yep.
yesterday.
Yep.
It's crazy to see that. Like, right, he was dumping on people, and then now
Yep.
he's in the NFL doing things, man.
Yep.
Well, no, Austin, nickname Stretch. I call you Stretch, but Stretch, really appreciate your time, man. I thank you for being a part of the Athlete to Boardroom community. All folks, you can catch this podcast on YouTube as well as our website. If you're an athlete out there that wants to transition and needs a little guidance, feel free to reach out to us at www.athletetoboardroom.com. And on this episode 5, we want to say thank you to Austin Stretch Williams, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Appreciate you.